Welcome to the second of four reviews. Um, this time we've got, it's called Sleep Attack or it's called Sleep Attack TD, depending on the version you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
The TD stands for Tower Defense. Indeed, Sleep Attack here is a tower defense game.
Yep.
With a literal twist. Like, the big gimmick of this game is that you can spin the circular arena, landmass, what have you, around and pick the paths for your enemies to trudge along.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a game that's been floating around for quite a number of years. I'm not exactly sure how old the mobile version is, but from what I can discern, that was the version that got released first. And then it appeared on Steam back in 2015. We are talking about the Nintendo Switch version, which got released like last month, or was it this month? Point is, this version is new. So, with that in mind, here's Golix to talk about Sleep Attack.
So, as with every tower defense game, you have a base that you can't let be defeated. In this case, it is this sleepy purple three-eyed Snorlax-looking thing. He starts out with 20 hit points. There's a flying squid thing that flies across the screen occasionally, and if you press the R button, I believe, or tap on it, I think it gives you a hit point back, but I usually I'm not paying too much attention to that because I'm busy with the other mechanics. You don't have any, like, movability or anything, or any, aside from selecting the things and rotating the ground, so that's where the interactivity with stuff that you've already built comes in, because at the beginning of a stage you'll have a certain amount of currency. Well, there are a bunch of different kinds of enemies and a bunch of different kinds of turrets in this game, and in every stage after like the first three, which are tutorial, there are some turrets that get equipped automatically that you can use on that stage. You can never have more than three. There's one or two that are like automatically given to you that are generally pretty good for that stage. And then you'll have one or two slots to optionally select other ones. You don't actually have to, but it's better to generally, because well, for example, there's some stages that like only require you to have the one that doesn't actually do much damage but slows things down, which, combos best with something that does actual damage. And you got your usual things. You got your fast firing but low damage thing. You got your slower firing but higher power that works on enemies that have armor. There are some AoE options and stuff. And just generally a bunch of little guys come along the different paths toward your thing, and you have to build your towers to defend your fat sleeping guy. Now, you can build over or delete things that you've already built, and you can upgrade things you've already built. But there are, like, between 3 and 6, even pretty early on, paths that things are going to come at you down. And it's difficult to fully fortify that many paths, especially early in a map when they might alternate between coming from the top 2 and the bottom 2 and then the top left and bottom right or whatever, for different waves. So what the mechanic you have is that you can rotate the ground that you're on, and the paths are generally longer or shorter on certain paths toward the guy, although the towers rotate with it. So you can like fortify the longer path more and then try to keep things coming along that. Although as you progress through the waves, they will eventually build up so that they start coming down multiple paths at a time, and then you need to have more of your bases covered. And after like very early in the game, it's not just one thing that rotates. You have the round thing that the guy is sleeping on, and then that has a bunch of paths and towers on it, and then that connects to a separate ring that goes around that you can rotate independently, that usually has fewer towers or spots to build towers. And then that connects to the outermost paths that things come in on, so you can like rotate. And while you're rotating, all the enemies kind of slow down and can't move for a minute. So that helps you gather your thoughts, because while you're building, it doesn't. So this game on the Switch does have touch controls, and they're actually pretty simple. You rotate the things by physically rotating in them, and you build things and upgrade them by clicking and by tapping and holding on a spot, and then it will bring up a little curve with the 3 different things you can build, or with the dismantle and upgrade options if it's one that already has a thing. That worked fairly well. For the keyboard controls, or for the controller controls, it's generally left stick moves the inside ring, right stick moves the outside ring, and left shoulder R button is to tag the jellyfish thing, and then L button activates building mode, and then you stick to move around and press A to select the options of things you want to build or upgrade. That is a little bit slower compared to the touchscreen, but I mean, it's your only option, I think, if you're playing it docked. And even if you are playing it handheld, you might prefer precision from that. I honestly think that probably the optimal way to play this would probably involve keyboard and mouse, but that wasn't an option on the Switch. There are, I think, a total of 24 stages in this. I made it less than halfway because tower defenses, I feel like I say this too much, but they really say that things aren't my strong suit that much, but tower defenses are not my forte, and also I hurt my toe earlier, which cut into my time somewhat. Do you guys have any questions?
For the dismantling, does it just give you the resources back? Or can you, like, set up the exact same thing somewhere else?
It gives you less back than it costs to build, but it gives you some back. So you can't just build and rebuild willy-nilly, but there will be times when you, like, didn't realize that you put a heavy fire, slow fire thing in a spot that was not actually a good spot to have that, and you want a faster firing thing there. Because the heavy fire, slow fire thing also only hits one guy at a time. Adam, Twilight, you got anything?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay.
So I guess it's price time?
So in terms of pricing, well, since this game has a bevy of versions, pricings are a little different. And the iOS version is its own special thing, because apparently you can only get this via a subscription to a thing called Playnod.
Weird. I've never heard of that, but I don't know why I would have.
Yeah. I'm like, you can straight up buy the Android version for $5.49. Like, and the Steam/Switch version is clocking in at $6.99. So I
don't think that's out of the reasonable range. I think that's still reasonable.
Not a terrible difference between the mobile version and the console/PC version, which is good. I mean, still a bit of an
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking about with a subscription. It's not like there's even that much of this game, so
that's probably due to the publisher. This Bending Spoons Apps IVS. The different versions have different publishers, and I find that's where the differences can come from. You know, different publishers set different prices. And like really all these versions have different publishers. I presume that they are all developed by Bad Seed, but Bad Seed is only listed as the publisher for the Switch version. Oh. But anyway, so your final take on Sleep Attack here, Galax?
It's fun. It's an interesting take on tower defense. It seems fairly straightforward, aside from that the gimmick of the being able to move stuff. The in-game, there is an in-game resource for like whenever a new enemy appears, you can press up on the control pad or tap on it, I guess, on a thing on the screen to see its relative rates of armor and speed and stuff. So that's useful. I think a lot of tower defense games have that kind of thing. I recall seeing it a few times before, at least. But that's nice. Overall, I think it's a pretty good game. It's not too big, but it could be a fun thing to mess around with. And obviously, when you do the stages, you get rated on a 3-star scale. Since this has a kind of mobile format, where I think you have to not take any damage on your dude to get 3 stars. A little damage, you get 2 stars, and then a lot of damage, you'll only get 1 star. So if you want to try to perfect it, there's a little bit of free play value there, I guess.
All right, then. So that'll about do it for Sleep Attack. Be sure to tune in after the break as we'll be reviewing Hoggy 2, specifically the PlayStation 4 version of that title.